Hello, my name is Hector Velazquez, and welcome to another episode of GCSAA Inside the Shop. And no, we're not going swimming, but we are going to show you how a couple noodles can save your noggin. In this next episode, we are going to be walking around the shop and see what we can do to make our shop safer. Now, we're going to have a couple guests in this episode, which I'm really excited about. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, we're getting towards the end of the season. Things are kind of winding down, and this is when I like to walk through my shop and kind of assess the shop, the setup, how things were going, how did the past season go, and more importantly, from a safety aspect. What can we do, what can we change, and how can we improve our shop?
One of the things that we talk about at length is cleanliness/organization. Equipment technician can just step back, look at things and say, what can I do to improve how we work in this facility from an organization and cleanliness standpoint. My name is Brian Cloud. I'm a safety consultant with a company called Golf Safety. And together with my son, we travel across the United States building safety programs for golf courses, specifically golf course maintenance operations.
So although the Tryon lift has been really safe for me to work on, one thing I did notice was walking around this thing. I have a really small shop, and everything kind of surrounds the Tryon lift. So marking the area around the lift is really going to help me see that, hey, to be cautious around this area. I've bumped my head a lot of times on this lift, and a lot of it is when I'm sweeping or mopping the floor where I'm not looking in front of me. So this is going to really help me out. Just realize that, hey, I need to be cautious in this area. We took it a step further. Those noodles that we saw at the beginning, those I'm using as bumpers on the corners of the Tryon lift. I've hit my head a few times on this thing, and this is going to really help save my noggin. Now, we're talking about safety and things that you can have in your shop, right? And we can have all this stuff, but we're still going to have accidents. It's what we do after the accident.
I am Skip Hines. I am the Equipment and Facilities Manager at Royal Poinciana Golf Club in Naples, Florida. I had an incident where a fellow technician worked for 23, 25 years on golf carts. And there was a crack in the clutch, and you couldn't see it. And as he heard some noise and was examining it, rest of the clutch decided to let go, and it came apart and it hit him and injured him. As a result of that, took a look at how we were working on carts, even though it had been 23, 25 years, and we put a program into place, a process, if you would, of how to properly examine golf carts and work on them so that if a clutch should again fly apart in the next 23 years, the next guy working on it wouldn't get hit. So anytime you have an accident, you can always utilize those to implement a program to add safety to the rest of your employees and your staff.
Why comply? Why go to all this trouble? Spend the money. Why spend the time? You're so busy. You've got so many things going on. And we always like to say there's 3 reasons to comply. First one is you have no choice. Someday someone's going to walk into your shop and say, where's your stuff? Hopefully it's not an agent or a lawyer. Second is it does save you money. One accident, one injury, one insurance claim will change your rate. So it's important to do that. And the third is because we all care about each other. We really want you to come home safe. We want you to go home to your families. I'm a former superintendent. I had a tragic accident when I was a superintendent where one of my staff members passed away on the job. It hurts today. And so I think that's the main reason we want to go to this trouble is actually focus on what we can do specifically within your operation to address those 3 issues.
Staff and traffic in the shop is another big thing. You want to assess how your shop flows and go from there. Skip, what do you think?
It's always been somewhat annoying to me to have people walking in and out of the shop because it's a distraction not only to myself, but to the other technicians as we're working on things, and that can lead to us getting injured. However, in a situation where your shop is set up in the middle of the operation, you need to have designated walk areas, and the crew needs to be trained and informed to stay within the confines of those walk areas.
And that's a great point there too, Skip. We can have all these procedures in place and be safe, but how do we communicate that to the staff? Because we want to keep them safe as well. Brian, any thoughts?
You touched on a great topic, Hector. Communication, opening that line of communication, being able to, for an employee to be able to walk in and say, I've got a problem with this piece of equipment. Having those safety meetings and turning to the technician saying, what can we talk about in your department, are huge. Those are great. And I think on the flip side, the technicians got to open up. They've got to be able to say, okay, I'm willing to take some bad news. I'm willing to communicate back and forth. We've got to be open about all this stuff. It's going to come back to haunt us if we don't.
So some of the things that help you stay safe in the shop, that's these spill pads. I use these things all the time. They're great. They're awesome. You have a spill, I use them when I'm breaking something down. When I'm underneath the machine, I can always throw a spill pad over the leak, let it sit there, soaks it right up, and it keeps a slip and fall from happening. It's also a good idea to have SDS sheets available in your shop. First aid kit. These things are available from R&R. I have safety glasses posted throughout my shop. That way, in case I don't have mine. Fire extinguishers is another big thing. You want to have them properly labeled. You want to have them visible. We even go as far as to marking the floor around the fire extinguisher, and kind of brings you like, hey, there's something important here. And it's not just having a fire extinguisher, but we need to be properly trained on when and how to use a fire extinguisher.
We talk a lot about fires, and we've all heard horror stories about shops that have been burned down. Is a fire extinguisher is not for you to be a hero. Fire extinguisher is for you to get out and safe, and maybe help the guy beside you get out and safe. But if you're in the shop and the office is on fire, your job is not to be a hero and find the fire extinguisher and fight the fire. Your job is to call 911 and get out.
A lot of this stuff can get overwhelming, especially if you're a new technician coming into a shop. Skip, any ideas?
A new technician coming into an operation that's in shambles or a train wreck, I would say first thing to do is look at what you have, assess what is good, what is bad, and start cleaning and purging. Throw all the stuff away that you don't need. It doesn't take a lot of money to be clean and organized, and the old saying is cleanliness is next to godliness. And if you have a clean shop, you have a safe shop.
It's always a good practice to every once in a while look back, do an audit of your shop, and see where you can improve when it comes to safety. I want to thank Skip Hines, R&R Products, and Golf Safety for helping us out with this episode. Without your guys' help, a lot of these things we can't do. I want to thank you for joining us here today on GCS 88 Inside the Shop, where we're helping technicians one wrench at a time.